The killer instinct is abundant in the waters of this planet Earth. There's a wide array of predators that move swiftly and almost silently toward their prey. Each has evolved its own special methods and weapons for successful hunting. We'll study the alligator and North American crocodile in Florida and take a first-hand look at how science is learning more about these fascinating creatures. Then we'll head out to sea to find the killer whales, the predators at the absolute top of the ocean's food chain. We'll go diving to get a face-to-face look at some of the most awesome killers on the planet, sharks, including the most feared of all, the great white. But not all hunters of the deep rely on sharp teeth and brute force. Some use deadly venom. At Australia's Great Barrier Reef, we'll continue our underwater adventures as we search for these poisonous sea creatures. From the cute but deadly blue-ringed octopus to the stingray with its unique defense weapon, a poison-tipped tail spine. And finally, the sea snake with its venomous bite. Prepare to be amazed as we go in for an up-close view of these unique animals with an underwater killer instinct.
A lot of people don't realise that Australia's got two kinds of crocodiles, the salty or saltwater crocodile and the freshy, the Johnson's crocodile. The Johnson's or freshwater crocodile, as opposed to the saltwater crocodile, has a very restricted habitat. It only lives in the rivers that flow through the drier inland areas of northern Australia. There are no freshwater crocodiles occurring in the eastern flowing rivers of Australia, and the reason is because there's really no suitable nesting sites from their short, fast rivers with no sandbanks like that. And there's the track of a big one. Well, there's lots of tracks of smaller crocodiles in the water here, but over here's that track of the big fellow. Judging by the width of this fellow here and the size of his feet, it's got to be about an 8-foot crocodile. So that's quite big for a freshie. They call them harmless. But if you tangle with one this size, try and catch him, you could end up armless.
Australia has two types of crocodiles, and North America has only one, aptly named the North American crocodile. This croc's habitat range is very narrow, and its intolerance to human development makes it more vulnerable to the encroachment by civilization. In fact, there are only about 400 left in the world, and most live in the Florida Everglades. So it was there that we set out to try to find one. A day of paddling the canoe in the right place, and sure enough, we found one, a 6-foot American crocodile. And off to the right, another, a 10-footer. It was an unforgettable feeling, being so close to this remnant of prehistoric times, one of only a few left on the planet. You have to wonder, does he really have any idea how close his kind are to being gone forever? And then, with a flip of his tail, he disappears. One place the American crocodile thrives is the 168 miles of cooling canals of the Turkey Point nuclear power plant in South Florida. The animal does quite well in these waters, heated to over 100 degrees and isolated from man.
Right, if you ease up, Joe, right, See him right? The light
Okay.
right out. He's just sitting there.
Yeah, there he is.
Might be easier for Brent to get
Okay.
him. Can I scoot over?
Hold on, he's
Never
moving.
mind.
He's moving.
Biologist Joe Wasilewski and Brett Cavallaro conduct an ongoing study of the crocodiles here, funded by the Florida Power and Light.
Good. All right.
Tonight, we'll try to capture and collect data from a juvenile crocodile.
Okay, we'll run for the money.
20.4.
We don't have a
That's 1, 2, 300. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he's 390. 1, 2, 3. So he's 393.
And these will never grow back.
These scoots will never grow back. No.
So for the life of this animal, you'll know who he is and where he came from.
One of the most commonly asked questions is what tells the crocodile from the alligator? Well, basically, alligators are just another kind of a crocodile, but it's this tooth here. In the alligator, this tooth here actually fits into a socket in the top jaw, so when his mouth is closed, you can't see that. Now, when he closes his mouth, you'll be able to see that tooth. But it's basically that tooth there that does it. And he closes his mouth. There, mate, you can have it if you want to. You'll see that tooth actually fits into a little hollow there where the alligator's actually fits into a socket. So when the alligator's got his mouth closed, you cannot see any of his bottom teeth. They're all stuck in little sockets.
Alligators and crocodiles are virtually killing and eating machines. Alligators have a lifespan up to 80 years, and they're capable of growing over 18 feet long and weighing over 1,000 pounds, with a jaw strength of over 3,000 pounds per square inch. Prey is swallowed whole, and if a kill is too large, one or more alligators will hold the carcass while another rolls and twists off a piece. The alligator is an opportunist, feeding on fish, birds, and small mammals that happen by, conserving energy, killing only when he's hungry. But when he kills, he is swift and ferocious, as with this unsuspecting mallard. And this possum is strayed too close to the water's edge, and a hidden, motionless alligator. Large predators should always be considered dangerous, especially if they've been fed by people. Florida averages 7 alligator attacks on humans per year, with 4% proving fatal. Of course, alligators would prefer to be by themselves, but as man continues to expand his living area, leaving less and less for alligators, digging canals that drain the wetlands, and building house developments on traditional alligator habitat, confrontations are inevitable. Todd and Jill operate an alligator relocation business as both a service to the community and the alligators.
He is a wild predatory animal, and his natural prey is going to be small mammals. And unfortunately, he does not realize that somebody's Labrador retriever swimming is not to be eaten. But again, some of that blame can fall back on the people. If you're aware that there's an alligator present, you don't want to swim your dog there. You call about a gator?
Gator in the pool in the back.
All right. Is the pool screened?
No, it's not.
Anybody watching him?
No, there's no one back.
All right. Careful, that patio may be slippery. I'd hate for somebody to fall in on this gator. That's a nice sized alligator. I want to try to catch him while he's still in the shallow end. Ma'am, you're welcome to watch, but if you could stay up against your house so nobody gets hurt. I'm going to go ahead and try to get one of these rope loops down around his head. I'll manipulate it with the snake tongs, and when I say go, I want you and Jill to go ahead and pull the loop tight and brace. Kind of angle towards the steps. All right, go ahead and pull, guys, go. Pull, pull, pull. Good job. Hang on. Watch that slippery deck. Let him fight. Let him tire out. If you see him bite the edge of that pool just now, he is one mean alligator. There's really no part of this animal you're not going to be wanting to focus on and keep your attention. The mouth, the tail, and the claws. All capable of putting a pretty good hurting on you. There he goes into his characteristic roll. When I approach, I cover his eyes. That has a calming effect. Okay, Jill, I want you to release the pole when I tell you to, and John, I want you to tape his mouth shut. Okay, Jill, release the noose. Okay, give me some nice wraps there.
It goes right behind your head.
Right in this area here. Go around about 6 times. One of the things about alligator, most of the jaw strength is in the closing action. Once you've got the mouth shut, simple electrical or duct tape can hold the mouth shut. Come up about 2 more inches on your wrap. Perfect. That's good. That's perfect. Again, this alligator is still fully energized, so everybody be careful. Ready? By removing these animals before they do something bad, it promotes good alligator feelings by the public. So we're very happy to get them before they get in trouble, because negative PR really impacts these alligators.
Alligator courtship is slow and languid, consisting of rubbing, nudging, and pressing on the neck and head of both male and female. Surprisingly tender for an animal that can be so ferocious at times. Both crocs and alligators dig mound nests where they lay their eggs.
When I was in Western Australia, the Aboriginals there told me they used to feast on crocodile eggs in the Admiralty Gulf area. Crocodiles nested in a colony. Now, the first nest in the farm here, I had 3 crocodiles nest, 1 here, 1 there, and 1 there. Just like this, but a bit closer together. So then I knew that wasn't true either. They do nest together. Another thing, when I found my first crocodile nests, I thought they'd have to build them by actually using their mouths and their tails, because you couldn't believe they could scratch this nest up with their little feet, but they use their feet all right. It takes them a couple of weeks. They just push up a couple of minutes at a time, See, these are good looking eggs, nice and white. Already some of them are starting to band up too, which means they're fertile.
Crocodile and alligator eggs are a favourite food of many predators. Often, an entire nest can be quickly destroyed. Sensing danger, the mother silently moves to investigate as the unsuspecting raccoon begins its return journey to its den. And, in nature's justice, suddenly the predator becomes the prey. As the alligator opens its mouth for a better grip, the raccoon struggles free, but only for a moment. Farmers' fields miles away seem unrelated to these alligators' reproductive cycles.
Well, we need to catch some about 2 to 5 foot alligators for some blood work that's going to be done to look at hormone levels in juvenile alligators.
But scientists now believe that they may be connected.
See, we have a tiny little, what appears to be the tip of the penis sticking out. Now, if this was a male, it should extrude completely, and there should be a cuff that's around the base. In contrast, if this was a female, a normal female, by pressing the base of the cloaca here, I should not extrude anything. One of the things we're studying is that there are a number of pesticides, fungicides, herbicides that act as steroid hormones. male and female hormones, which are similar to the hormones that cause these structures to grow. So if we in fact have a contaminant problem, one of the things we've hypothesized is that we would see abnormal sizes, maybe larger clitoris in female and smaller penises in males. And we're certainly seeing that on other lakes. One of the reasons we're taking the blood is we'll actually look at its circulating hormone levels and try and determine whether these things have a pattern of abnormality which has been reported in either alligators from other lakes that we've studied or other species.
And finally, the best job of all, releasing the animals back to the wild. Coming up, we take a look at the predators at the very top of the ocean's food chain, the killer whale. We know that crocodiles and alligators are some of the world's most effective hunters of lakes, rivers and saltwater marshes. In the same way, we have come to appreciate killer whales as the intelligent hunters of the open sea.
Killer whales in the ocean are really, the top predators. They are really at the end of the food chain of the ocean. They are really the top. There is no other word. The top predator of the ocean with the white shark, but even probably on the top of the white shark because they can feed on them.
The largest of all dolphins, the orca or killer whale, is a highly intelligent and inquisitive marine mammal. It's their sense of adventure which causes killer whales to be found throughout the world's oceans, from the equator to the polar ice. Killer whales live in cohesive long-term social groups called pods, but they don't mate within these pods.
What is really interesting, within each pod of killer whales got its own dialect. So the more different you are from this pod, the more different will be your dialect. And one female will in fact choose a male which has the most different dialect from its own pod, so avoiding inbreeding.
Researchers like French scientist Christophe Guenet, a world authority on orcas, have been able to categorise killer whales into two distinct groups based on physical and behavioural characteristics.
One population is qualified as resident, and it's composed of whales feeding almost exclusively on fish, and more precisely on salmon. The overall population of killer whales present in Bataria is qualified as transients, and these killer whales mostly feed on marine mammals and more especially on seals. Researchers have been able to show that these two populations of killer whales diverged about at least 70,000 years ago.
As the top predator in the ocean, the killer whale's diet extends to several hundred known species, including fish, seals and sea lions, walruses, birds, sea turtles, as well as otters and penguins. Much like packs of wolves, the killer whales work together to encircle and herd. The prey in this case is a pod of Dahl's porpoises. Similar in appearance to the orcas with their black and white markings, the porpoises' only defence is their amazing speed, outrunning to survive another day in the ravenous oceans. If the porpoises escape, the killer whale will turn its gaze to anything else that lives in its world. They've even been seen to attack and kill great white sharks. And the largest creatures in the ocean bear the scars of killer whale attacks. But killer whales, once in captivity, may seem easy to train. This is the world-famous Shamu. He was once king of the San Diego Zoo. How can the sea's most successful predator want to behave in this way?
People have been always wondering, why killer whales were so easily trained in captivity. But I think it's just part of our intelligence. They are trained to learn. They are active animals, so they like learning.
But lurking within the huge brain of the orca lies secrets we may never understand. Nigel Ormerod, dolphin trainer.
actually brought a killer whale from the States to England, Flamingo Park Zoo, and the whale had arrived. We put it into the large pool. The old said, "Who's going in?" I said, "Well, I'll go in." So I pushed off to stroke it on the beak and sort of around its eye, just talking to her. But she actually turned towards me and just opened her mouth up, and I had one set of teeth around the neck and the other around my ankles. It actually took me down to about 30 feet and just swam around. I could feel its muscly tongue just sort of feeling me on the stomach. And after a short period of time, it actually let me go. With the buoyancy of the wetsuit, I just floated to the top. So I just bobbed up and down there for a while. She actually come around again. And this time I stroked it on the beak, around its eye, just talking to her. Grabbed the dorsal fin, she towed me around. And when we came in close to the edge of the pool, I just pushed off and climbed out of the pool. There's no malice and no intention. I mean, she came towards me very, very slowly. I mean, if they want to move quick, they can move really quick. And if she wanted to eat me, she could have just come from the other side of the pool, full belt, and lifted me out and probably chopped me in half.
Its name, killer whale, comes from 18th century whalers who would see orcas feeding on other whales and dolphins.
This is the skeleton of a unique killer whale called Tom. He was the leader of a pod of 6 killer whales that used to herd whales into a bay called Twofold Bay in a little town called Eden on the east coast of Australia.
Twofold Bay has always been a pretty community with its roots embracing the sea. This area has been witness to the migration of whales long before history recorded the event. But a man by the name of George Davidson set up a whaling station here in the 1800s, when whales were looked upon as a commodity, supplying needed raw materials. This whaling station was like many around the globe, but as Rob explained, the whalers were assisted in their harvest by killer whales. Tom seemed to lead a pod of strong young orcas. None remember how it started, but when the cry of "Rusho, Rusho" went up, the humpbacks or right whales were being herded into the bay by the killer whales. George's crew would take to the whaleboats and with oars straining in all weather would hand throw harpoons. Killer whale Tom and his pod would assist in the capture, Tom by holding the harpoon rope in his jaw, preventing the floundering and bewildered target whale from escaping, and others by blocking its way out of the bay. The killer whale's reward was the prized lips and tongue of the fated whale. From 1843 until Tom the orca died in 1930, this remarkable pact between man and killer whale went unspoken but never broken.
That was a very unique situation between man and animal, because this particular killer whale actually grabbed the harpoon rope between his teeth to slow the whales down. And you can see he did this on many, many occasions, because all of his teeth on the other side have been worn right down. And you can see with the rope wearing the next tooth down. It's just an amazing situation of cooperation between man and beast.
Coming up, a look at sharks, the awesome tigers of the sea.
There are about 360 species of sharks throughout the ocean, from the tropics to the polar regions, from the shallows to the deeps. Their size, shape and colour are many and varied.
Sharks are in truth fish, but sharks comprise only about 1% of all living fishes. Unlike other fish, though, sharks have no bones. Instead, their skeleton is made of cartilage. This gives the shark a high degree of body flexibility, allowing for quick, agile movement. It's this elastic tissue, together with large, oily livers, that help give sharks some of their buoyancy. Their skin looks and feels as though it's covered with tiny teeth. Their small, rough, placoid scales, called denticles, have the same structure as sharks' teeth. Depending on the species, sharks have 5 to 7 pairs of gill slits on the sides of their heads. Water flows out of the gill slits after passing over the gills. Contrary to popular belief, most sharks can breathe without swimming. They open and close their mouth to pump water over their gills. This is just one of the commonly held misconceptions about sharks. Another, that sharks are a swimming nose. Well, that implies that sharks rely only on their sense of smell to hunt down prey. It's true, sharks do have an incredible sense of smell. Some shark species can smell one drop of blood diluted in 1 million drops of seawater. Sharks have many other senses at their disposal in order to hunt down prey. The most important sense the shark uses in detecting its prey is sound, even though sharks don't have external ears. Instead, a tiny duct carries sound waves to the inner ear. Their incredible hearing can detect a struggling fish over a mile away. Though here, it probably wasn't too difficult to find this massive school of pilchards off the East Australian coast in what is an amazing example of predatory behaviour. Every year, this spawning migration sees hundreds of thousands of these bait fish move as one. This is a feast on the move for sharks, and whalers and tiger sharks are in the majority here. Taking lunging bites, they can score mouthfuls at a time. You may also be able to spot tuna, cobia and mackerel trying for some kills too. But they stay clear of the sharks, who seem to demand first strike honours. The tiny pilchards, vulnerable as they seem, can still employ a defence mechanism. By gathering close together and balling up, the attack rate of the sharks and other fish is reduced. They'll even swim around the head of the shark, confusing it and avoiding capture. But the sharks in this region are experienced hunters and herd the bait fish into the shallows like a big corral. They'll continually attempt to injure some of the prey to make the pickings easier later. During this feeding frenzy, many people are unaware of the dangers so close to shore, even though many swimming beaches are closed for this annual event. Sharks can also detect sound with what is known as their lateral line system. This design is made up of hundreds of pores along the side of a shark's body and head, and enable the shark to detect wave movements, pressure changes, and vibrations in the water. Sharks also have excellent eyesight and can sense electromagnetic impulses produced by other animals. This helps them detect prey hidden beneath the sand.
Teeth. What can I tell you about sharks' teeth? It appears that nearly every species of shark has adapted its teeth to the prey it eats, but most can eat the same thing. Now the old tiger shark here, he's got like can openers for teeth, and he can bite through the shell of a turtle. Here we've got a mako shark. He's got long, slender holding teeth. He bites and swallows things whole. Now, this seven-gilled shark, he's got really like little saws there for cutting pieces out of larger, maybe dead animals even, because he's not a big shark. Over here we've got a Port Jackson shark. He really doesn't have teeth, they're crushing plates. So he eats mollusks and things. Now the most feared of all the sharks is the great white. And he's got those large, triangular, serrated teeth for biting pieces out of seals and things. Now sharks don't need to see a dentist. If one of their teeth break, another one from behind just folds out into place. In fact, a lemon shark in captivity, by the rate it shed its teeth, they believe it could have 26,000 teeth in its lifetime.
When we return, we'll introduce you face to jaws to some of the many species of sharks and discover how each hunts down their prey.
We have just ventured
into the often frightening but always compelling world of the sea. Shark ancestry predates the dinosaurs. Their survival a direct consequence of their instinct to kill. They have, in fact, evolved into the complete hunting machine.
I don't believe that sharks deliberately attack humans at all. I believe they often make mistakes. Sharks eat things as big as humans every day. Great white sharks eat dolphins and seals and chase them. And so there's no reason why they wouldn't eat humans, except they don't seem to target us as a food. I believe that sharks race up and hit things on the surface. Dolphins and seals are attacked regularly on the surface as they come up to breed. They're at their least vulnerable time then, and most vulnerable, I should say, because they can't escape into the air. So the shark comes through and hits them on the surface. So swimmers and surfers can be mistaken by great whites as food, and it's quite often that when they're hit, that a shark will come up and hit a surfboard or something, and then not realise that it's not an edible object, thinking it's a seal. I believe that we should spend more time and effort learning about sharks, learning how we can enter their water safely and learn to live with them instead of killing them from fear. I've been working on electronic shark repellents and trying to help as many people to make that little black box that you can strap on and go in the ocean with safety. And we've done some tests with them, and I believe that it won't be long before there will be an electronic repellent that will keep sharks at bay under most conditions. I don't really know whether an attacking shark that's coming in at a great speed thinking you're a sea lion will be able to be dissuaded to go away, but generally the shark that is curious and circling and thinks you're something to eat will be dissuaded.
If there's one thing Rob loves more than a rotten tree log full of snakes and spiders, it's little ocean rock pools filled with what Rob calls the jewels of the sea.
I'm looking for one of the 10 most deadly sea creatures on the earth. What's more amazing is that most of the people that come to this beach don't even know they exist.
This is not only because they're shy, but also because of their size.
Now, they're not easy to find because they're not very big and they can hide exceptionally well.
Not the kind of animal you want to go looking for, though.
I found one here. Now, it's really small, but it's really, really deadly. It's just under this rock. It's a blue-ringed octopus, and I'm wearing gloves because it's got a poisonous bite. And if it bites you, it's totally painless. You don't know you've been bitten. The first thing you know is you become paralyzed. And basically that's it, you'll die. Now when it's agitated, little blue rings appear on its body. Normally it doesn't have them. And this one's agitated, so I've just caught it. doesn't like being out of the water. Now this one's about as big as it grows, and I know it's a female because it's got a bunch of eggs. It's dropped them. And another thing is with the octopus family, is when the female lays eggs, she stays with them till they hatch, and then a few days later, they die. Now, I've had the bare hand there. She's probably stuck on there trying to bite. Off you go. Look at those bright blue flashes. Look at the rings, they're really bright blue. I'll give her back her eggs. Now, the biggest octopuses are the Pacific octopus. And they grow to about 8 feet or 2.4 meters across their arms. All octopuses have a poisonous saliva, but not all of them affect humans. But this one does.
Hiding in tide pools, it hunts for its main prey, crabs, which it bags ambush style.
The venom of blue-ringed octopus is tetrodotoxin, which is exactly the same as you get in pufferfish and causes fugu poisoning in Japan. And so it is exactly the same, except this time it's actually injected into the body rather than just eaten and absorbed that way. There are thousands, probably millions of blue-ringed octopus all the way around the southern half of Australia and lots of places in the world. People often play with them, they shouldn't. They're usually not very exciting looking at all, dark brown colour, but when you prod them or irritate them, all these blue rings appear, so they can be very, very attractive to kids. And kids often prod them and poke them and pick them up. And there doesn't seem to be any envenomations, but there have been 3 deaths in the world, 1 in Singapore and 2 in Australia.
Yet another well-adapted creature, it's like a shy child in Rob's hands, but becomes filled with a killer instinct when it's in its hunting ground.
The venom of the blue-ringed octopus just gets destroyed by the body by the heat of it, and over 4 to 6 hours this occurs, and all you've got to do is protect their airway this time, and they'll live with no problem.
Rob's gone back to netting again to demonstrate the kinds of creatures anyone can encounter close to shore in these waters.
Now, they use their tail a bit like a scorpion. You've got a poison spine. The best way to handle them is take the tail in your mouth, keep him straight so they can't use it. And that's the little barb just there. The barb, you stand on him, he uses it like a scorpion. Now what they do is when they hit you, it breaks off in your body. Terribly painful, and it's full of little barbs, so it doesn't come out too easy. Again, hot water is the treatment. Seems to neutralise the proteins there, and surgical removal.
The sting causes excessive bleeding and excruciating pain, pain that can remain with the victim for many months.
We'll let him go. Other than that, he really can't hurt you. You see him use that little tail a bit like he brings it up and uses it like a scorpion. There you go, zot, zot.
Rob dives to find larger and more varied types of stingray and finds a nice little stingray truck stop inside this sea cave. There are around 35 species of stingray in all, with fairly much the same body shape and variations in size and colour markings. This is a large leopard ray. Stingrays like this guy, when at his full size, have enough force to damage and even break a wooden boat with their lashing tails. Another large ray passes over Rob, heading out of the cave. Rob knows if he was stung in the abdomen or chest, it could be fatal. They're a fairly placid animal that keep to themselves, but look at the size of that stinging barb. With other curious visitors entering the cave, it's time to move on.
Coming up next, Rob goes back into the blue to hand catch a deadly sea snake so he can kiss it. Next destination for us is a tropical paradise and the search for marine reptiles.
Great Devil, here we come.
Here we come.
Great Keppel Island is part of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, an idyllic destination, but Rob and Lynn aren't here to laze in the sun.
No, you gotta go through the shop.
They've packed their wetsuits and filled their tanks. Even though this island paradise holds a lot of fauna interest for Robbie, his mission is to hand catch his first sea snake. The dive boat heads out to a reef that's bursting with marine life. Lynn weighs anchor and is keen to get Rob into the world she knows and loves so well.
Well, we've finally made it. We're here at Great Keppel Island, where they reckon it's a good place to find a sea snake.
And we're actually at Egg Rock, which is one of the prettiest dives on the Keppel.
Now, I haven't had much to do with sea snakes other than rescuing them out of a bait net, small ones, and I've rescued a couple of bigger ones off the beach. I've never swum with them, so this will be my first time.
Ready to go. I find one of the best ways to study sea snakes is by filming the sea snake.
Just about anywhere on the Great Barrier Reef has good diving, but local knowledge and Lynn's experience has brought them to a place where sea snakes just love to frolic. The corals, sea anemone and countless fish species are a big distraction, and it's hard to keep mind and eye on the ultimate goal. But eventually, Rob's snake eyes spot movement amongst the coral. It's an olive sea snake. As Rob said, these snakes are related to the land elapids, or front-fanged venomous snakes. Their narrow bodies and flat tails are adaptations to life in the sea. Looks like Rob's made a friend out of this fellow. Aggressive only during the mating season, which is in the winter, the sea snake is a very curious creature which endears them to scuba divers. Most sea snakes eat fish or their eggs, and all are front-fanged and venomous, some more so than others. Rob signals the cameraman to stop still. The olive has taken a shine to him now. Provoked snakes can be quite aggressive and persistent. If you're ever in this position, the general rule is apply repeated kicks with your fins to frighten them off and move you away. Avoiding them in the first place is the respectful thing to do. But this snake just likes the company as Rob applies the softly, softly approach. Lynn gets some sea snake action on tape, the only way she'll ever shoot marine life. Sea snakes, like all reptiles, are air breathers and must surface regularly. That's why they're found in relatively shallow waters. Lynn realizes it's time to surface, but it's all just too good to leave. Both Rob and Lynn return to the dive boat and dump their tanks for snorkels. Then it's like an underwater ballet. Marine creatures here can be delicate and beautiful, but a no-touch policy is best if you don't want to get stung. With the sunset, Rob contemplates the day and thinks of tomorrow's adventures.